Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to the third segment of Huda Tonight. We're going to be talking about charity, and this is a very important part of the life of the Muslim. We're going to be distinguishing between charity and zakat. Brother Mustafa, we will introduce you and welcome you again. You were with us for segment 2. Welcome to segment 3.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. And we have been joined by Brother Lukman Hakim. It's always a pleasure to be with you, Brother Lukman. Welcome to Huda Tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. All right. So, Brother Mustafa, I was asking you, what is the difference between charity and zakat?
The word charity in Arabic means sadaqah. And the word sadaqah itself can be used in the Islamic jurisprudence mostly as the voluntary form of charity. You're passing by in this, in the streets, you find an old man, someone who's poor, you're helping out a family to pay their debts. This is charity. But when it comes to zakat, the words, which means referring to the Islamic jurisprudence, the obligatory, the compulsory form of charity, the major charity, which is the yearly one in the last 10 days of Ramadan. So this one has the word zakat. The word zakat means refine, to refine, the purification of what you have earned or what you owe. So this actually purifies your wealth, and you get to pay the percentage. If you have an income and you have had that income for a year, then it's 2.5%. And there are many, alhamdulillah, many systems which have been systemized in Islam. The scholars can benefit even more than I can. But charity and zakat, they have different meanings.
And the main difference is one is obligatory and one of the 5 pillars of Islam, and the other is voluntary. And aside from this difference, what about the time? Are there specific times when, Brother Lukman, when zakat can be given? And is it open season? Any time we can give sadaqah?
First of all, I would like to define again, as our brother said, that in Islam we have many kinds of charity. One of them is obligatory, as our brother said, that we call it zakat. So zakat is something obligatory that we have to pay for the poor and needy person. And there is certain amounts of zakat. And the second part, on the second kind of the charity that is not obligatory, it is a sort of voluntary charity. We call it as sadaqah. But if you look at the translation of zakat in English, it's very interesting. Sometimes we call it zakat is tak. Some people said tak. I think its translation is not correct, because tak is something that you must pay for the government. So if you don't pay it, you will get punishment. And also, you were Christian. In Christian, there is something that is called thought. 10% of your money or of your wealth that you should pay for the church and clergy. But in Islam, we don't have such institution. We don't have church institution. We don't have clerical institution. So the translation of zakat, it will be better to translate as charity. So we don't say that it is Islamic tax or Islamic thought or something like that. So if we are going to talk about the time when we should pay zakat, because in Islam there is sadaqatul fitr or zakatul fitr. So when we are going to talk about the time of sadaqatul fitr, for instance, we have to know that we should pay zakat in the end of Ramadan, after we have fasted in the month of Ramadan. In the end of Ramadan, we have to pay charity or obligatory charity that we call as sadaqatul fitri or zakatul fitri. But if it is relating to the agricultural land, when the time of harvest, so we have to pay some months of something that we take from agricultural land, for instance, when it's come to the harvest. So I think there are many discussions about it, and it is better for us to refer to the book of Islam jurisprudence to explain it in more detail.
Okay, so not only is the zakat obligatory, but the time to give it is very defined. It's well defined. We have to give it within a certain period. We can't just give it any time we want.
It's in the last 10 days of Ramadan.
Yes.
And it starts, as most scholars will say, that the last 20 days, the 20th day of Ramadan, until, some scholars differ, they say until the start of the prayer of Eid itself. So people, they should not really play with fire and say, listen, we're going to leave it until now. It's better for them within the last 10 days of Ramadan, play it safe.
Yeah.
And one of the main reasons why it has to be paid in such a short time, a limited time, is that if I'm going to declare a certain law and will say, listen, we need to help the community, we need to help the poor, we need to put it in a national treasury so that we can benefit the Muslims and even non-Muslims as well. So what are we going to do? We're not going to say it's an open bank account and that any time throughout the year. It should be in a certain time, because there are certain projects, you know, including medical projects, including business projects, that which can give people jobs, health benefits, and much more by the will of Allah. So this is why, by the wisdom of Allah, alhamdulillah, and by His grace, it has been such a limited time. This is the obligatory form of charity, zakat. And if all people did not pay zakat, did not contribute, then this is one factor of Islam, from the 5 pillars of Islam, that you cannot be a Muslim unless you have a partake in the growth and the development of nations. So this is one of the factors. If you wish to become a Muslim, you must have, influenced or put yourself. But there are certain categories and terms to qualify you to do so. If you are poor, then of course Allah is not going to make it hard for you and impose upon you such, forcible charity. And alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. Brother Lukman, I want to ask you about a very difficult subject when it comes to charity.
I hope I can answer.
I'm sure you can. When we see needy people, there's always the question, to give or not to give. You're in the street, you're moving from, and someone comes and asks, can you address this issue? We're talking about a total stranger, someone that you don't live near, you're not a neighbor to in your community, near your work or your home or anything. Can you talk about this decision that some people struggle with?
Okay. First of all, we have to look at the Prophet himself. The Prophet was considered the most generous man in the history, probably. When the Prophet was asked, he never refused someone who is asking him. If he didn't have any money or if he didn't have something to give, he would like to borrow something from his companions, and then the Prophet would like to pay it back later. So if you look at the Prophet is the most generous person. So the question that you just asked me, that's very interesting question, I think. So we as Muslims, we should show that we are the generous people. So the money or the wealth that we have, it is not we have forever. So there is the right of the poor people that we should give them. If you look at the tradition, the Prophet ever said, "Fi malika haqqun siwa zakah." I mean, in your wealth, there is portion that you should give it to the poor and needy person. So Islam is the religion that teaches us that what we have, it is not totally belong to us.
Yeah.
So it is like a trust of God.
A trust.
Something that is given to you by God that you have to spend on it in the cause of God.
Yeah.
It is interesting because if we realize that everything that we have, it doesn't belong to us. We will be realizing that there is portion in our health, in our money, that we have to give it to the right person.
Yeah.
That is the needy and the poor people.
I like this. I mean, if Allah has given us life,
yes,
then certainly everything that comes thereafter is from Him.
Yes.
Right? Okay, so, but I want to go back to my question.
Okay, I would like to draw you the attention to the history in the time of the Prophet. In the time of the Prophet has slaughtered a sheep, and then its meat has been distributed to all people. And then the Prophet came to his wife, and the mother of believer Aisha, and he was asking her what remains of it, and Aisha just replied, nothing remains except its shoulder. And the Prophet, all of things remains except its shoulder, because something that you give to the poor and the needy person, it will be something forever that you will benefit them in the hereafter. But something that you have in this life, it is only temporal.
Yeah, but I think the issue is, for when I talk to people about this, they have a need to place limits on themselves. So, for example, in a large city like Cairo, if you're walking, you can encounter many needy people and empty all of what you have. And if you go by this way every day, you'll soon not be able to, there has to, so people are saying, how do we impose these limits on ourselves?
It's very, very easy. Alhamdulillah, I did my best to understand how to differentiate between a needy person and someone who will just take £2 from you and go buy some illegal drugs. And this happens. Because I'm in the legal business, and I see a lot of people in courts, prosecutions, and I know the game that has been played.
Okay.
Except whom Allah has mercy upon, when it comes to the poor people, there are signs. If I look at an old woman who basically cannot stand and is unable to reach, cannot really work, cannot do anything at all, I'm not going to keep, investigating with her. I just want to go on to my house or to work. So what am I going to do? Yes, I'll do my best to help her, but I'm not going to keep helping those around me in a way that will destroy me later on. Because if I really want to form a true line of charity for the people, then why not form a business and let these people work? That's an even better form of charity. What's £2 can I do to her?
Yeah.
The day that she brings some bottle of water, it's going to end after half an hour. So that's not really a good way of spending for charity. If you wish to spend for charity, you can do some sort of, meal preparations. You can do something which will, with your own eyes, can see the result.
You're talking about impacting people's lives in a more lasting way.
Yes. What good is £2? Yeah. What good is a temporary form of charity? So if I'm riding my own car, driving, and I'm going by from one street to another, and as you, Brother Ali, said, that we're going to be finishing up our salary before the next 10 days, and we still need some money.
You're right.
But the Prophet ﷺ said that feeding your own family is charity. And he has explained in a hadith, which has been narrated by Al-Albani himself, that there are many forms of charity. to give alms and money for the preparation of jihad, for the preparation of charity, for the preparation of business, and for the preparation of your family, for the well-being. And then he implied saying that the best of it is to feed your family. So I have, limits. I have priorities. The first people whom I have to take care of, my family, and then the needy and the poor. But to take them above the family,
it would be a mistake.
It's not really charity.
And also, I would like Brother Lukman, if you can comment on every year, you see the needy people, or those who capitalize on a season of giving and charity. And every year in the time of Ramadan, we hear in Muslim countries a crackdown. The police will actually go and prohibit people from begging in the streets. They will arrest beggars. Please.
Okay. I would like to comment, in this issue that we should give priority
to family?
To the family first, and then to the relative. The Prophet was explaining why should we give the priority to our family first. When you give the charity to the poor or needy person or someone who is strong, you will just get the reward of your charity, one reward that you will receive. But when you give your charity to your family, you will get two rewards. The first is the reward of your charity itself, and the second is the reward that you make your relationship strong. So, it is very good thing. And the second, we have to give the charity to someone who is near to us, like our neighbor, for instance. This is why the Prophet ever said, إِذَا طَبَخْتَ مَرَقَةً فَأَكْثِرْ مَعَهَا. When you cook, maraqah is something like soup. فَأَكْثِرْ مَعَهَا, you should give more water, and then you should give it to your neighbor. So, it's very interesting. And the Prophet ever said, he is not a believer, someone who knows that his neighbor is starving, is getting hungry. And then he is sleeping in the night, and he doesn't care and doesn't want to know that his neighbor is, getting hungry. So a Muslim should know, should think about others. It is very interesting that we should know that Muslim, someone who doesn't think about himself, but he thinks as well about others. It is the beautiful teaching of Islam that we have to look after someone else, that we have to take care other people.
Islam is always encouraging us to recognize the humanity of people, regardless of the social status or background.
And also, I forgot, the question that you are asked me. In the time, in the end of Ramadan. Sometimes we have problems in Muslim countries, especially about the distribution of Zakat al-Fitr. Actually, if you look at the Islamic teaching, Islam doesn't encourage people to ask whether you need something to fulfill your livelihood. It is not very good if you ask.
So Islamically, asking is not in line with Islam.
Yes, of course. So the Prophet ever said...
You were more friendly than me. You used a softer term. I said begging. You said asking. Yes.
The Prophet ever said, it is better than you if you ask something from the people. It is better to you that you go to the forest, to the jungle, and then you collect wood, and then you sell this wood in order to get money.
Yeah.
So Islam encourages Muslim to work hard. It is not something prideful if you ask something to others.
If I take a taxi and I see that, you know, he's struggling, you know, I look at his situation. If one is driving a brand new car, he's got, you know, nice accessories and everything, but then I get in another taxi and I see he's really struggling, and I give him, you know, a big tip. Is that a form of charity?
It depends upon the intention, and at the same time there's also a form of transaction. There's a big difference between transaction and charity. So let's say that the taxi driver, he opened up the meter, and if you will pay him in accordance to that meter, then it's not charity, it's business. But let's say he tells you, I don't have any change, so could you forgive me? So will this be accepted as a form of charity? This should be asked to a scholar. Because, you know, we go through this all the time. And I personally, I'm a very strict personality when it comes to employees and when it comes to all those around me. Because I really have to show them that my intention is only for Allah. So when I'm dealing with you, I don't need to prove to you that I'm a generous Muslim. I'm going to be sharing my McDonald's with you right now. No, that's not how it works. But if you kind of think about it, it's a good question. But if I want to do it with intention, and I want to stand by him, stand by his side, that will be rewarded by Allah. But will this be charity or assistance? It doesn't matter. It will be accepted by Allah. You know, if your intention is truly to help him out.
Brother Lukman, we have 1 minute left to the end of the program. Would you like to add anything to Brother Mustafa's comments?
Yes, I think if we give something to the needy or poor person, the only thing that we should do is being sincere. It is very interesting.
Have a sincere intention.
Yes. Whether he is really a needy or poor person, it's not our business. As long as we give him and we just, hoping the reward from Allah, it's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay. Whether he is, a really needy person or poor person.
He's very generous. He's very kind.
It's not our
I wish I could be like
business.
him, but you know, I'm just having
Brothers, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to be with you.
The same here.
Brothers Mustafa and Lukman have been talking with us about charity. We have reached the end of Huda Tonight for today. Thank you for being with us. We hope that we provided something that you took away that was beneficial for your lives as Muslims. Inshallah, we'll be back tomorrow, which is Thursday, for more news, information, and discussions. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.